Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a little flashlight video. Now this is not a review, it's a bit of a discussion and comparison between these two lights. These have become my favorite everyday carry lights. They're both really well done and I've gotten a lot of use out of both of them. Carry them both about equally, and there's a reason for that, okay? I know this one technically has slightly less lumens, but the reality is, in some ways that kind of comes out in the wash. So we'll talk about that as we go along. But also the size on these is really, really nice. So they've really got a comfortable, usable, carryable size here. And for me, these are items I drop in my pocket. I don't clip them to anything. I just drop them in the bottom of my pocket and carry them that way. One other thing I want to say about the SR series of lights before we go on is I've got the S2R, the S1r, and the S-Mini, and they're all more of a floody light than a beam light. So what I mean by that is they put a lot of light out into a larger area rather than a really tight focused beam. And that's actually really nice for an everyday carry light or for a task-oriented light. For example, I will bring this or this, sometimes both, so I've got a backup. When I'm turkey hunting, right? So you're heading out to the bush really early in the morning. This clips nicely right onto the brim of your hat, and because it's pretty floody, it illuminates a fairly large area, and you can pretty easily see where you're going. So for that kind of purpose, for working on the car, I've had a few times where the light wore. I ran out of daylight before I got whatever job I was working on done on the car, and this one, especially because of its magnet on the back, you can stick it to the frame of the car somewhere, stick it to the underside of the hood, and just keep working. They work really, really well for that purpose, which is why I prefer them. Now, if I want a searchlight, if I want a really, really long throw beam, I have a couple of bigger, I have one big through night for that, and I have a bigger Phoenix, and I can't think of which one it is. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about. So let's get back to these lights and run down some of the comparisons. These are very, very similar. So they'll both take CR123 batteries. This one ships with a rechargeable battery, and then it has the, hold on, let's see if I can find it. Yeah. So it has the little tail piece here where you can put that on the tail and it'll recharge. That's really, really nice. And does give you the advantage of knowing, I can pop this on the charger, leave it alone, and I know I've always got a pretty well charged, ready to go battery. This one doesn't have that option, but my solution is that everywhere I can think of, so in the car, in my backpack, in my bag that I carry to work, in my desk at work, and a few other places where I feel like it might be necessary, I have extra CR123 batteries stored. Okay, so if I'm doing something that could get me away from a power source for a prolonged period of time, let's say it's a long car ride, and I'm thinking, what if there's a breakdown? Well, I do have an 18650 light in the car, but I also have 2 or 3 extra CR123s. If I'm going for a long hike, same idea. In my backpack, there's going to be usually another light as well as some extra batteries. So I don't get too concerned about that, but that is one of the potential drawbacks of the CR123 batteries, is that the lifespan is not quite as good on an 18650. For me, the trade-off is worth it because the size, especially the size on this guy, is so compact that it literally has no bearing on my planning for the day, right? I can drop this in any pocket. I can wear it in dress pants. I can bring it with me in dress pants or running shorts or whatever and not even notice it. Because of that, I really, really like that light. And really, this one is about the same. It's hardly a noticeable difference between the two of them. Let's quickly give you a rundown on the Lumen output, and then I'll give you some dimensions and kind of give you my overall take on, overall impression, I guess, on these two lights and why, again, they're my favorite ones to carry. So the Lumen output on this guy, the turbo setting is either 600 or 900, depending what battery you have in there. You're only going to get the 900 if you have a 16340 battery in here. So normally you're going to get 600. It's going to drop down to 300 after like a minute and a half or something like that. And 300 is going to be the high setting. Okay, this guy, you're gonna get 550 lumens, and then it's gonna drop down to 300. So now you see why I'm saying it all comes out in the wash. Yes, on paper, this one says 900 lumens, which is incredible, but in actuality, you have to have the right battery, and it's gonna drop down to the high level after only a minute and a half anyway, okay? So I feel like that's an important consideration, and I think that, to me anyway, now you guys feel free to weigh in the comments. I'd love to know if you disagree with me or if you think, hey, that makes a lot of sense. To me, that puts this one kind of as the front runner because you're only losing that really high 900 lumen setting, number one, if you have the right battery in here, and number two, for like a minute and a half, and then it's gonna drop down to 300 lumens anyway. Okay, the other part of this is 300 lumens is enough for almost anything that I've ever tried to do with these lights. Okay, I've never been using these and been like, oh man, this light is not bright enough, I need something else. Okay, it just hasn't happened. I'm sure it could happen, maybe it's happened to you, but for me, it's not been a thing. The medium setting on both of these is 60 lumens, the low setting is 12 lumens, and the ultra low is 0.5 lumens. Now here's the other part of this equation that has to be considered. All the way down the line, this light lasts about half as long, sometimes less than half as long on its respective setting. Okay, so this is gonna claim 300 lumens on high for 2 hours. Okay, this guy only claims it for 50 minutes. This guy, 8.5 hours on medium, 60 lumens. This guy only 4 hours. And it goes like that all the way down, even down to the moonlight or the moonlight setting, the 0.5 lumens. This one claims 15 days, this one 30 days. Now, I'm not gonna leave my light on for 30 days to see if that's true or not, but the claims are there and they're all the way throughout all the way down the line. This guy is about half as much capacity or half as much lifespan, I guess, for the same lumen setting. All right. Plus, this guy's smaller at 1.7 ounces, and hold on. Here's a ruler. So this guy is just over 2 inches, like 2 inches, 2 1/8 inches. This guy is just over 2.5 inches. So half an inch longer, and we'll give you these numbers for sure. So 1.9 ounces on this one, 1.65 on the little guy, on the mini. There we go. Sorry about that. It took me a second to get the scale to turn back off. There are a few other things that make a difference here. Okay, this one, as I said, I've used this for working on the car. It can tail stand on the little charger that comes with it. And so those things are some advantages that you may want to consider. If you don't just, this is just like a typical, any other flashlight. You use the battery till it dies, you throw it away. This, if it runs down, you just click it back on the charger and you're good to go. I guess the sidebar on that is, I don't know, and someone please comment down below. Is there such a thing? I've looked around and haven't had much luck as a 16340 rechargeable that you could drop in here and still use the recharging function. By the way, if you don't put a rechargeable battery in here, do not put it on a charger. That's a really bad deal. I mean, maybe not the end of the world, but you're definitely going to wreck something. So, how do we compare these two? It depends on what your needs are and what your wants are. For me, I don't really find the magnetic feature all that awesome. I would rather have the slightly less length. The other thing about this is this one, I mean, it's got a little bit of a cool factor to it because of the fact that it's got the nice finish, or the titanium and the gold. It looks really cool, okay? So that's not the main consideration, but I do kind of like that. So out of these two lights, guys, I do carry both of them quite a bit. I do like both of them quite a bit, but I've got to say I prefer the mini just a little because I feel like you're getting more for what you're carrying. You're getting more for what you're putting in. As I said before, I will put full reviews down on both of these, but that's my take on the Olights. Which lights do you like? Which lights do you prefer? And if you were going to buy one of these, which one would it be? Would you make my pick and go with the mini, or would you choose the SR for the some of the other options that it has? Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.